points here. Points here.
The Sixers could not hit a shot to save their lives in this game. Them and the Pacers decided to put on an absolute brick fest. Both teams shot 19 for 79 from three. That's 24% from beyond the arc. If it wasn't for Paul George and VJ Edgecombe, I might have been forced to turn this game off. My eyes just couldn't take it. I was about to pour a bunch of bleach into my eye sockets, but the 76ers were able to come out on top, though. Beat the Indiana Pacers without Siakam, without Nembhard, TJ McConnell, Halliburton, obviously. They were struggling a little bit in the first half, guarding Micah Potter, of all players. That really does say something about how dreadful the 76ers defense has been this season. Really inconsistent. Of course, you have all the bumps with their availability. Paul George and B constantly being in and out of the lineup. But man, this defense really loves to underestimate their opponent. Micah Potter was just being left wide open, constantly hitting threes, had 10 rebounds in this game, was playing like prime Dirk Nowitzki. And the Sixers were battling out with Indiana. The Pacers ended up cutting the lead down to 6 at one point in the fourth quarter. Then the Sixers decided to actually take the game seriously, went on a little bit of a run, and had a relatively comfortable end. First play here, we have a Pacers player hitting his teammate in the face with a basketball. VJ taking advantage of that and sailing to the rim with a two-handed slam. We got VJ taking on a 2K-generated player. Love his aggression going to the rack as he barely bumps into him and he goes to the baseline. VJ with the easy finish. Play of the game right here. We got VJ intercepting a pass. He had 3 steals, gets it to Edwards. Edwards throws up the alley-oop. Who needs Artemis when you got VJ Edgecombe taking off? VJ taking advantage once again, has the 2K generator player in horrible defensive positioning right to the rack. This is the type of transition scoring the Sixers have needed for years. We got Drummond with the great steal. VJ goes all the way to half-court sprints right to the rim, finishes through contact. I've been really impressed with what VJ's floor has been as a mid-range shooter. I don't think anyone expected him to be pulling out this kind of stuff. Coming out of Baylor, pull-up, 18-footer, splash. He's shooting 1.5 mid-range shots per game on the season. That's in the 91st percentile and at a pretty decent efficiency as well. VJ showing off his acrobatic finishing ability. We got Bona surveying. He gets it to VJ, knifes his way down the basket, finishes with the reverse layup. Paul George has been shooting 42% in his last 5 games. Great find by VJ right here, taking advantage of the slacking defense. PG with the catch and shoot. Vintage Paul George shot right here, hitting him with the little crisscross through the legs, pull up on the baseline, splash. Sixers offense looks so much better when you have elite catch and shoot weapons like Paul George pulling up from the corner, bang. Kelly Oubre was bricking so many of these type of short mid-range shots, but thanks to Andre Drummond battling out, Kelly gets the behind that back pass. Paul George showing some athleticism. When have the Sixers had consistent options when it comes to the catch and shoot game? Paul George just makes it look effortless. Got PG operating in the paint a little bit. He is shooting 55% at the rim this season, 9th percentile, but at least he's willing to absorb contact, unlike some other overpaid players that used to play for the Sixers. We got Drummond getting stuffed by Jay Huff. Grimes with the offensive rebound, finds PG. Got the 2K generated player in drop coverage, got the lucky bounce. Another vintage Paul George play right here. We have him on the right wing, hits him with the quick jab step, pulls up. Dude, he just makes it look easy. Were you ever hooping and you ever hit a swish so tight that you barely hear anything as the ball goes down the net? This is basically every Paul George shot. Backing down a little bit, fade away. Dude, silky smooth. Quick look at the Eastern Conference standings. We have the battle of mid in the play-in tournament. We got the Sixers matching up with the Orlando Magic. despite all the bumps and bruises the Sixers have had to go through when it comes to their players being available, not available, they've averaged out to be a pretty mediocre team throughout the past 2 weeks, even, with Joel Embiid on the court. They are the 22nd ranked offense compared to Orlando. They're the 23rd go-to defense. Orlando is usually a really good defensive team. Yeah, they're 7th in defensive rating. The Sixers are 11th. You go more towards the full season outlook. You got the Sixers 17th. 17th in offense. Orlando 16th. And then you go over to defense. You have Orlando at 14. Philly at 17. So the Sixers and the Magic, two mediocre teams with relatively disappointing seasons. Of course, the Sixers had a massive jump in wins compared to last season, where they were flat out tanking for most of the year. So it was kind of an improvement for the Sixers just because the expectations were so low. But at the end of the day, you got two part-time NBA players strapped to those massive contracts. You're expected to be a championship contender. They're not playing. So you fall all the way down to the 8th seed fighting in the play-in tournament. Embiid's probably not going to be playing in the playoffs, and even if he does come back, he's not going to be anywhere near the level of Embiid that we need him to be if the Sixers are going to go on a run. And how the play-in is currently constructed, or at least where the Sixers are in the bracket, it's not looking good for their playoff hopes. This is just the objective truth. We keep things 100 here on NZ for 3. If you match up with the Boston Celtics, you're probably getting swept. Especially without Joel Embiid, you are getting swept. The Celtics are going to demolish you. They are top 5 in offense and defensive rating. So yeah, the Sixers have no shot in that series whatsoever. The Knicks, if you do have Embiid coming back somehow, you could take that to 5-6 games probably, and heck even 7. Even though the Knicks have the rebounding disparity that has been their biggest weapon against the Sixers these past couple of seasons or matchups, they have not. The Sixers simply get destroyed on the glass whenever they play New York. They're one of the worst rebounding teams I've ever watched, and the Knicks have those weapons in Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson, so it is a terrible matchup for the Sixers either way. Yet, if you do want them to make the playoffs, now I just want them to get right to the offseason. They got a lot of work to do in the offseason. I don't really care about their playoff run, given that they're not going to do anything. If you want them to make the playoffs, you have the Orlando Magic ahead of you, or in front of you, which is probably the best matchup. At this point, it's probably going to be the Hornets and the Heat matching up in the other play-in bracket. Yet, the Raptors do have an opportunity to slip to the 7th seed, or at least get out of that guaranteed playoff spot and into the play-in and give it to the Sixers if things go the Sixers' way. So tomorrow, they need to beat their old friend Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Then the Raptors, unfortunately, they have to try and beat or lose against the tanking Brooklyn Nets. That's right, the 20-61 Brooklyn Nets, the team with the infinite army of 2K-generated players. It's going to be difficult. I don't know if the Raptors are going to be playing, their best players, Brendan Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, all those guys. I don't know if they're going to be suiting up in the last game of the season. Maybe they might be getting a little cocky saying, hey, we could just put out all of our third stringers. They'll be better than the Nets army of 2K generated players. And maybe that might come back to hurt them. Or maybe they just want to be better safe than sorry, not playing the play-in tournament and keep that guaranteed playoff spot. So honestly, I'd much rather match up against the Knicks than the Celtics. The Sixers could probably at least win one game against the Knicks. They'd probably get swept against Boston. But yeah, tomorrow, Milwaukee, Doc Rivers, and we're going to be live streaming the game too. So be sure to be in there for the last game of the season. Thank you for tuning in to NZ for 3 Sixers recap. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you're new around here. I appreciate all the support. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.